Good morning. Today we're going to learn about the beginning of the end. Again, I know we've already talked about that a little bit, but it has to do with the wives. So it's a short reading. I need you to read 1 Kings 11, 1 through 13. It's 1 Kings 11, 1 through 13. So pause me, read, and I'll be here when you get back. Okay, so King Solomon had married Pharaoh's daughter, and most scholars believe that she converted to Judaism. It never says in the Bible that she did, but most scholars believe that she did. And then he went on and married many foreign women, and it lists all these countries and tribes. And the women were from these tribes that God had said, don't marry them. But Solomon married them anyway, and he had 700 princesses as wives. And these were probably princesses from these small tribes these were probably gift wives for political alliances. And he had 300 concubines. And the difference between a concubine and a wife is pretty, depending on the culture, it's definitely different. And some cultures, it's almost the same. Concubines in some cultures were actually handmaidens for the wives. In other cultures, they were there just for the king's pleasure. So why did they have these harems? It wasn't just that Solomon needed a different woman every night or anything like that. It was for, one of the reasons was for women's protection. Sometimes they took in women that had no other place to go. Other times it was political. That would be these princesses. Here's my daughter, and you'll be nice to me, almost like a mafia type thing. And then sometimes it was personal. I really like her and want her. So, but God had said, don't do it. Don't do it. But Solomon did it. And I liked this. One of the commentators said that if wisdom is the application of knowledge, then obedience is the application of wisdom. So Solomon, wise guy, God gave him wisdom. He just didn't follow his own wisdom. And sometimes we do that. I thought of the scripture Romans 7:15 that says, Paul says, what I want to do, I don't do. I do what I hate to do. So we're all kind of human and we know better, but we do it anyway. And another scholar said that the difference between David and Solomon was David's morality occasionally wavered, but his faith never did. And we can see in the next part where Solomon's faith, he just blew it. His morality lapsed, and so did his faith. So he built these what do they call them? He followed these people. He built high places for these other gods. So Ashtoreth was the goddess of fertility and love. Molech is the god, the detestable god. Molech is the one that required child sacrifice. Ashtoreth, again, about she's the sex goddess. So Molech's child sacrifice, and Chemosh is the sun god. And Molech and Chemosh were twins. And Chemosh, Solomon actually built his high place on the Mount of Olives. It is thought. It is pretty well accepted that was on the Mount of Olives. So Solomon's in 100% to make these foreign wives happy. And he probably did it to make himself happy. I mean, who knows what he's thinking at this point. But God got mad, understandably. He told him not to do it. And he says, since your attitude. So he gets mad because of Solomon's attitude and his disobedience. And that is, you can obey, but if your attitude is wrong, you need to get a check on that. And so God says, so I'm ripping the kingdom away. I'm not going to do it in your lifetime because I respected David too much, but it's gone after you. And I'm going to leave your son with only one tribe. So this is pretty much where the rubber hits the road. God judges and says enough is enough. So the lesson today is attitude and disobedience. Put a check on it.